As an old Yu-Gi-Oh player who has had my love for this game revitalized, I have been on a journey learning about the modern cards because I was playing a lot in the hat format and before that, but there are a ton of cards that came out about our favorite archetypes, and today we're going to be learning about the ancient gear cards. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Let's get right into it, guys, with Ancient Gear Ballista. Let's see what this card does, okay? If this card is linked summon, you could add one Ancient Gear monster or one Gear Town from your deck to your hand. You can target one spell or trap a card you control and one face-up monster your opponent controls. Destroy that card you control, and if you do, change that opponent's monster's attack and defense until 0 until the end of the turn. Ooh, okay, I don't know if that effect is just for Gear Town, which it's super cool that the Ancient Gear archetype is still using Gear Town. I've always loved that. I've always loved mixing it in with the scrap monsters. I don't know if we're going to run into more cards that have an effect if you're destroyed, if that's for just Gear Town or not, but I guess we'll find out. Starting off with a pretty strong card. We also have Ancient Gear Commander. It's so crazy that after all these years, we're getting our favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! GX cards brought back, man. You can send one Ancient Gear Golem from your hand, deck, or face-up monster zone to the graveyard. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one Ancient Gear monster. If you normal or special summon Ancient Gear Golem, except during the damage step, you can special summon one Ancient Gear Golem from your hand or graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. You can banish this card from your graveyard, place one Ancient Gear continuous trap from your hand face up on the field. You can only use this effect, or each effect, once per turn. There's a lot to do there, and I would say a lot of it's pretty helpful. I would imagine it's a good setup card, especially that effect after it goes to the graveyard. We also have Ancient Gear Dark Golem. This card's name becomes Ancient Gear Golem while face up on the field or in the graveyard. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add up to 2 cards, Ancient Gear cards, or Gear Town from your deck to your hand, except Ancient Gear Dark Golem. Then discard 1 card. You cannot set cards for the rest of this turn. You can only use this effect once per turn. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell and trap cards during the end of the damage step. I would imagine that's pretty helpful. I don't know about, like, being this big boss monster. I don't know what else we're going to run into, guys, but I do know, I think it's Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, the fusion card. It has, like, 4,500 attack or something like that. But this is also a good card. I just don't know what else we're going to end up running into. We also have Ultimate Pound, all right? Cannot be special summoned. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. Up to twice per turn. When this attacking card destroys a monster by battle, you can discard one machine monster. This card can attack again in a row. If this card is the field and destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add one polymerization from your deck to your hand. And if you do, add one other Ancient Gear monster from your graveyard to your hand. Has a lot to it. And this is another thing about Yu-Gi-Oh, guys. Every card has so many different things that it can do, and this is a very, very good card. I love how they all say can't be special summoned, and then you have all the cards where it's like, hey, you can do this with Ancient Gears, ignore its summoning conditions. But I guess that avoids, like, the Call of the Haunted and stuff like that. But I don't even know at this point, like, are things like Call of the Haunted and Soul Charge still played? Regardless, we have another fusion monster over here. Unaffected by other card effects. During your main phase, you can inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. You can only use this effect once per turn. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Ancient Gear monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. This card's great! You get 1,000 life points off of your opponent, which I am actually a very big fan of, especially if it's just like a nice, solid 1,000 damage. And then if it's destroyed by battle, you get another Ancient Gear card to deal with. I think this is very good, especially that you only need 2 Ancient Gear monsters. I'd definitely be using that. We also have Hunting Hound. If this card is normal summoned, inflict 600 damage to your opponent. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate any spell and traps until the end of the damage step. Once per turn, you can fusion summon one Ancient Gear fusion monster from your extra deck. Ooh, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. So it's just a free polymerization. Another very, very good, another very, very strong card over here. Let's keep going to Ancient Gear Hydra. At the end of the damage step, when this card that was tribute summoned by tributing Ancient Gear monster battles an opponent's monster, but the opponent's monster was not destroyed by battle, you can banish that opponent's monster. If this card was tribute summoned by tributing one gadget monster, it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. If an Ancient Gear monster you control attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell or trap monsters or effects until the end of the damage step. So I like the fact that it's not just when it attacks, but I don't know if an Ancient Gear deck nowadays would run gadgets throughout the deck. That's the problem. And I like that the card has Ancient Gears and, like, the gadget in the middle. I actually think that's pretty cool, to be honest with you. That one's iffy. You get a tribute summon Ancient Gear. I don't know. We'll see how that works out, okay? We also have, wow, Ancient Gear Megatron Golem. That's a cool card. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell or traps until the end of the damage step. If this card was fusion summoned using 2 or more Ancient Gear Golems and or Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pound as a material, it can attack up to that many times during each battle phase. If this face-up fusion card summoned is in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. Okay, Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem is the one that I definitely remember, and I remember that being a little bit busted. So that's actually crazy. You have this big monster, and if it leaves the field for whatever reason, you have to deal with the next card. This is the problem with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It's such a good card, okay? Let's continue on to Reactor Dragon. If this card that was tribute summoned by tributing Ancient Gear monster attacks a defense position monster and inflicts piercing damage. If this card was tribute summoned by tributing a gadget monster, it can make a second attack during each battle phase. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate any spell or traps until the end of the damage step. At the end of the damage step, if this card attacked, you can destroy one spell or trap on the field. I can see that being useful, but I don't know how I feel about combining the gadgets with the Ancient Gears, because the Ancient Gears at this point probably could run on their own, especially because we have more cards to take a look at too. So we also have Gear Tanker. Dude, the artwork behind this one's so cool, man. If this card is normal or special summon, you can special summon one Ancient Gear monster from your hand, except Ancient Gear Tanker, ignoring its summoning conditions. Or if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon from your graveyard instead. You can target a face-up card you control, destroy it. Also, for the rest of this turn, all monsters that are Ancient Gear Golem are mentioned at gain 600 attack. That's a great card. You get a free Ancient Gear, which likely your opponent has a monster in the field, ignoring its summoning conditions as well. So you can just, like, it has a great way, an easy way of getting out those boss monsters. This one looks familiar. This might be an older card, Ancient Gear Wyvern. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one Ancient Gear card from your deck to your hand, except Ancient Gear Wyvern. Also, you cannot set cards for the rest of the turn. You can only use this effect once per turn. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate monster effects. This seems like an older Yu-Gi-Oh effect. It's not that great. It's okay. Like, you can add a card from your deck to your hand. Oh, but it also has special summon. So I guess it's not great. But the problem is, like, I'd have to play with it to figure it out, because whenever you have cards that would special summon some Ancient Gear cards, I would imagine that you would just go for the boss monsters and not just Ancient Gear Wyvern. Unless something like Soul Charge you could use, where you can get multiple cards. That one's tough, man. I don't know if I'd use that one, okay? We also have Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. Interesting. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned in other ways. Unless you had... Oh, yeah, no, it still has Ancient Gear. I was about to say maybe it doesn't have Ancient Gear in the name. Until it's ignoring its summoning conditions hits. Unaffected by spells and traps effects, your opponent's monsters cannot activate their effects during the battle phase. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. 45 attack, there's no stopping. And how are you supposed to beat something like this? Like, you need Honest. But wait, your opponent's monster cannot activate their effects, so I would imagine you can use Honest. Lightsworn still on top, guys. Let's go. Always running 3 copies of Honest. There we go. Now we have Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem. This card I'm familiar with. I don't recall what it does, though, okay? So, must be fusion summoned. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate cards. If this card is destroyed, you can target one Ancient Gear Golem in your graveyard, special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. You know what's crazy is I remember this card being busted. And now the other cards are so busted that this does not seem busted. But at the end of the day, it is busted. 4,400, you can get it out after your other fusion card. It's just another thing that you have to deal with. That's crazy. You're going to win the game. We also have a continuous spell. Dude, the artwork for this one's great too. Look at that. Ancient Gear Advance. When this card is activated, add one Ancient Gear spell or trap from your deck to your hand, except Ancient Gear Advance. Once per turn, you contribute one monster, draw one card, and apply this effect for the rest of your turn. You can normal summon Ancient Gear Golem or level 5 or higher monsters that mention it without tributing. You cannot set card this turn. You activate this card. You can only activate Ancient Gear Advance once per turn. That's great. So you have draw power with a continuous spell, and you can summon without conditions. That's a phenomenal card to have, man. Let's continue on to Ancient Gear Catapult. While you control no monsters, target one face-up card you control and destroy it. If you do, special summon one Ancient Gear monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one face-up card you control and destroy it. If you do, special summon one Ancient Gear token. Ooh, this sounds familiar. You can only use this once per turn. This might be an older card too. Because the older cards, like, yeah, there were some of them that you wanted to destroy Gear Town with. I remember there being tokens in Ancient Gears. Maybe I just saw this, but it's an okay card. Probably, maybe worth putting one in the deck. I also remember Ancient Gear Fortress. During the turn they were normal or special summoned, your opponent cannot target Ancient Gear monsters you control with card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot activate cards in response to this activation of Ancient Gear cards or effects. If this card is destroyed in a spell or trap card zone, you can special summon one Ancient Gear monster from your hand or graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Ancient Gear monsters. So, you're going to keep special summoning monsters. Dude, this is just Gear Town, but, like, better. I remember Ancient Gear Fortress. I'm not saying that I remember it being an old card or anything. It might be. I just have definitely seen this card before. That's a crazy effect. All of these effects are crazy, and I would imagine, again, from an outside perspective, the Ancient Gear cards, it makes for a pretty strong archetype. But let's continue on, okay? We also have Ancient Gear Fusion. Fusion, summon one Ancient Gear Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as a fusion material. If you use Ancient Gear Golem or Ancient Gear Golem Ultimate Pound, you control as a material. You can also use monsters from your deck. Wow. A very, very strong polymerization card. Getting those cards in the graveyard, then all of a sudden, special summoning those cards from the graveyard, ignoring their summoning conditions. This is also a very strong card, and I love, this might be one of my favorite artworks from polymerization, guys. I love the classic swirl you have, but I love the lightning through it, and I love all the pieces of gear. Super cool. We got to do a card art commentary on Ancient Gear cards, okay? We also have Ancient Gear Reborn. It's continuous. Once per turn, if you control no monsters, you can target one Ancient Gear monster from your graveyard and special summon it. If you do, it gains 200 attack, even if this card leaves the field. Interesting. Seems like an older card, but I don't recall this one. If you control no monsters, I guess it's good because it's a continuous trap card. Yeah, I'm sure that's great. Not great. I'm sure that's a good card. I'm sure it comes in handy, but I'm thinking, like, if you manage to get your boss monsters on the field, I see a very hard time having your opponent being able to deal with those, because this card leaves the field, you get another Ancient Gear, and then you have all of the different things that you can do with all the other Ancient Gear cards. We also have CrossDimensional Duel. Oh my god, it has Jaden and Crowler there. Flame Wingman with Skyscraper versus Golem. Dude, that's so cool. That's an incredible card. Anyways, target one Ancient Gear monster you control and banish it. During the next standby phase, return that banished monster to the field, and if you do, its attack becomes double until the end of the turn. If one or more Ancient Gear Golem or Ultimate Pound you control be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So it has a double protection in there. I like that it's escaping Crowler from his doom in the first episode. That's incredible. I love that. But if you want to learn more about myself learning about old Yu-Gi-Oh cards, then you can check out this video where we just learned about some more cards. I'd love to have you over there. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care, guys.